Welcome to book number 4 of our mini-series on the 7 books that changed our life. If you haven't listened to the first 3 episodes, please head over to lifedesigndiaries.com to check them out. They're pretty good and only about 10-15 minutes long, so definitely worth heading over there to give them a listen. So you're hearing from me again, and this isn't a book but it's a blog, but I always refer to this. And it is a blog by Derek Sivers on how he lives a no drama life. Now, this is actually taken by I think he's a psychologist, a lecturer, scientist called Kurt Vonnegut, and I definitely have butchered that. My friends know I'm not very good at articulation, but it is really, really good. So if you go Sivers, SIVERS.org/drama.
And we'll obviously link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll link to the show notes, but if you're on your phone now, you can have a little look at it. It's a quick short blog, and it basically is how Derek Sivers, who is a very successful entrepreneur and now has kind of changed his life around a little bit to live a little bit of a reclusive life, actually. He's got a really interesting story. Definitely recommend you checking him out. But he basically heard Kurt Vonnegut do a talk about how we are tuned as babies to live our lives like a fairy tale. And there's some really cool grids on this blog, which basically have, it's like a timeline. And if you plot out the happiness, sadness across the lifetime of all of your Disney characters, of all of your favourite films, of all of your favourite books, it all has the same story kind of curve, the drama line.
Yeah, we're tuned to acknowledge it, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. So we basically have this in our head that we need these disaster stories and storylines, and we love a drama. We hold grudges, we exaggerate, we, think the world's coming to an end when something small, in the grand scheme of things, happens. And we feel like, life is horrendous when something bad is happening. But when you realise that you're just playing to the tune of these stories in your mind, the way that you're taught to feel and think and behave, when you kind of break that away, you realise that things aren't that bad. And it really is a very pivoting, really made me pivot how I think.
So are you saying then that because every story, is it kind of like rags to riches is one example of that, isn't it? And how there's like a trauma that you need to overcome and then you hit your success. Are you saying then that because in all of the media, films we watch, everything, it's kind of these stories that we subconsciously feel like when something happens, we perceive it in that
to be
in
a
that
massive
story.
magnitude.
Yeah. To go with that story.
Yeah, definitely. Like before I read this blog, and I actually wrote a blog on it myself. It's online somewhere. I'll try and dig it out.
Link to it in the show notes.
Before I read this myself, if someone's aunt was dying of cancer or something awful was happening, then I would create a drama about that so that I could play a role in the story. But that's no good because it's not good for you mentally. It's no good for you to waste your energy on things like that. It's no good. And I think when we got married, again, you can create such a drama about things like that, which do feel like a big thing in your life. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not actually that big a deal. And it's certainly not as big a deal to the next person. And a lot of people don't really care.
Yeah.
So, well, that's how I felt anyway, after some of the things that I've done, going traveling, quitting my job. They're big things to me, but actually they're not that big. It's not actually that big a deal. It's nothing that no one's going to write about,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
well, because everyone is the hero in their own story, aren't they? Like everyone's world revolves around themselves. And so it can be very easy, like you say, especially if we're tuned in at an early age, to think that what's happening to you is a big deal.
Yeah.
But when you rationalize it from almost an out of body experience,
Mm-hmm.
then it happens to everyone, all these things. So like you said, it's not actually a big deal.
Not a big deal. So I think, when we've come back to the UK now for a little bit, and there's a few things going on, and I kind of think that thinking about how this has impacted my life and how it's changed my life, I kind of feel like I'm not hung up on a lot of things. I'm not wasting a lot of energy. I feel quite passive about things, which actually is nice. That I'm not being caught up in the dramas that aren't really a drama.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of merge this with another book recommendation that I really like it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And again, we'll put it in the show notes, but it really talks about that obstacle that you perceive. And you could, you can be very emotional about that in one way, like dramatize it, like you said. Well, the thing is there. So like whatever the circumstance is, that's happened. But it's only how you perceive the circumstance. You have the choice. You're always in control. You have the choice to change how you perceive something. So having drama in your life is a choice, isn't it? And I guess that's also one of the things that you've taken from this.
Yeah.
Is that you choose to react in an emotional way.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else could have a complete different frame of mind and different set of values and choose to react in a completely different way to the exact same thing. The thing is the same.
Yeah, because I think before, if anybody that I used to work with is listening to this, they'll probably laugh, but I loved a bit of gossip. And I think, and I was telling you earlier, wasn't I, about someone not getting on with someone because of what someone else has said. And that drama that has been created is by the person that has been saying those things. The two people that have been spoken about have no idea what's going on, and then there is something created. The minute you say something negative, you're putting it out into the world, into the universe, and you're creating a rift of like negativity.
Yeah.
Between people or between something. And I don't know, maybe it's because you get a bit older as well.
It's not productive, and it takes up a lot of headspace, doesn't it? So when you say then that you live quite passively now, I think that's that frame of mind is to be admired.
Yeah,
because you've got headspace to worry about what's important.
And the good things. It kind of goes with the book that we've just spoken about, the Book of Joy, and choosing what to put your energy into, and how really, if you keep your life simple, you're going to have a happy life. If you're playing into these dramas and you're playing your role in something, then you're just
adding layers of
drama.
complexity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's overcomplicating things.
So really good blog. Highly recommend it. There's a very fascinating video that Kurt Vonga has he recorded. It's a recording of a lecture where he talks about this. Again, we'll link to the blog where I write about it in our show notes. And I highly recommend everybody giving it a read because it offers a lot of clarity.